What's going on, everybody? Christopher here, back with yet another video. And I know nobody's moving around at the moment, but if you're a person that's thinking about moving into Germany once everything is cleared, you might want to hold up until after you see this video, because right now I'm about to give you 10 things that you should know before you move to Germany. So yes, for those of you that are new around here, I'm Christopher and I make American and Germany content. If you're interested in my take and my experiences on topics about Americans in Germany, join the CLR Nation, come on back weekly, and this is what I'll give you. So right now, I'm gonna give you 10 things that you should know prior to moving to Germany. Some might be more important than others, some maybe not so important at all, but just 10 things that I just thought of that many people might wanna know before they came into the country. Number one on this list is the usage of open source or torrent services such as Kodi. I know coming from the US, a lot of people are used to using these kinds of media services, but you might run into issues when it comes to services like this when you get to Germany. I urge you to do your research, check with the local rules and check with what they allow and what they don't allow before you get mixed up in some stuff like that. Basically, it's a service that lets you install add-ons so that you may be able to stream or torrent or use other kinds of sources to get movies and television shows that many people may or may not have access to at the moment. Sometimes they put stuff that's not even released in theaters, sometimes they put stuff that's not even released on TV yet, and this service sometimes has it. Now, I don't know all the updated rules to having Kodi and using its services. You might want to look into that yourself, but there was a time where I dabbled into this. And during those times, it was a few years ago, is when it got hot, and even a couple friends of mine got hit up with hefty fines. And I'm talking about to the tune of about 1,000 euros per violation. And by violation, I mean per movie or show that they had. I don't know if it comes down to just streaming versus downloading. Just check with the local guidelines and see what the rules are regarding these kinds of services. Number two is for you to be prepared to be around dogs. Germans love their dogs. I put in a video before how it's not uncommon for you to see dogs dining in restaurants with their owners, and it's very common to see. You need to get used to that. It's something that I found strange when I first got here, because where I come from, we just don't allow animals in restaurants when we're eating. It's different when you're at home, I can see, but when you're out in a restaurant, not everybody is comfortable with a smelly dog in their presence while they're trying to eat. So that's another thing you're gonna have to get used to, dogs. And you'll see them tagging along when they go on their walks. You'll see them being treated and taken care of in stores. Like if you should happen to go shopping, a lot of the time you will see dishes sitting out in front of the store for their dogs to lap up some water or maybe get a little food. A lot of stores even allow the dogs to come inside. I mean, the Germans really care for their dogs, so be prepared to be around dogs. Number three, as you see me swatting stuff away, is be prepared for like everything to be protected. Here in Germany, lots and lots of things are protected. And what I mean by protected is like you can't kill them. You can't harm them in any kind of way. And so a lot of insects are protected. Many animals are protected. Lots of plant life is protected. And you're just not allowed to destroy or kill these specific things. Again, you're going to have to get with the locals once you get here or before you get here to find out which ones are protected and which ones may not be. For an example though, when I first came back here, we had a huge problem with wasps. Now, I personally have kind of a slight fear of wasps stemming from my childhood. Me and my cousins one day were exploring this old clubhouse. We called it a clubhouse. It was really just a shack that was abandoned. But anyway, there was a wasp nest above this thing. So when we climbed up to the roof of it, we accidentally disturbed this wasp nest. Now you can imagine how this ended. We couldn't get down the ladder all at once. And I want to say it was a good 4 meters off the ground. So there was no jumping either. So we each had to take turns climbing down this ladder. In the meantime, we're getting stung, like stung up. And as you know, wasp can sting multiple times. So I walked away from that with at least 8 or 9 stings. Painful stuff, especially as a kid. So I'm a little bit traumatized when it comes to wasps. Back behind me, they've recently cut it down. I want to say like 2 weeks ago from the recording of this video. There was a tree right here that I had put a wasp trap into because I wanted to lure the wasps in and kind of get rid of some of them. That's pretty close to the house. I got little ones here. So I put this trap up and people walk up and down this street, and someone told me that I couldn't have it there. At first I was just like, well, that's too bad. I'm protecting people here, you know what I mean? But after a while I was like, okay, we'll take it away and we'll just be more careful. And thankfully, we really haven't had a wasp problem since that year, but that's a perfect example to how things are protected here. Sometimes you just can't destroy a certain thing. Sometimes it sucks. Number 4, be prepared for very short conversations, because the less a German knows you, the shorter a conversation with you will be. If they don't know you at all, you probably won't get nothing. It's nothing to be offensive towards you. They just really don't do small talk and long, drawn out, pointless conversations. They just don't do it, and that's okay. I'm totally fine with that. This has been talked about over and over again. Just be ready for very short conversations, especially in passing. And you guys have seen this place before in cleaner moments, but nevertheless, this brings me to my number 5, which is be prepared for the place you choose to not have a kitchen. A lot of places in Germany do not come with kitchens because in Germany, kitchens are separate. If you do happen to get a place that already has a kitchen, good on you. But I want you to be prepared for that to be the case when you're looking for a flat, an apartment, or a unit, or a house, or any place really. Be prepared for it not to have a kitchen and for you to have to purchase it separately. Just something they do here. Coming from the US, that was unheard of. I don't know about many other places, but it was something that was strange to people that are coming from the United States like myself. So be prepared for that. While I'm here, also be prepared for some of your devices to not work. If you come from a place like the US that uses 110 to 120 volt devices, you might want to replace those things or take the risk of them being blown up. Now, it won't be like a huge explosion, but you will short out the device and destroy it. There is the availability to get things like these, which are adapters that go from the prongs that we're used to in the US to the prongs that Germany uses here, but this does not transfer the voltage to something lower. Be aware of that. All this does is gives you access to the 2-prong sockets that German facilities use. Do not plug your 110 or 120 voltage device into one of these and then stick it in the wall and expect it to work. It will not. You will destroy that device. Your device has to say that it accepts this voltage between 220 and 230 voltage. Some devices that you may have might be dual voltage, which means that it is transferable and it is able to use between 110 and 120 all the way up to 220, 230. But make sure it says that. Number 7 applies more to people who might be a little bit younger. Be mindful that in Germany, you can't operate an automobile until you're 18 years of age. So for those of you who are coming from the US who are under 18, or for those of you who have younger than 18-year-old offspring, you might want to be mindful that they can't drive until they're 18 years of age. Now, I know there's something in there where they can ride like motor scooters and stuff that only go over a certain speed, but I'm not quite sure on the rules on that. But I'll have to know soon once mine start reaching that age. So much like you should, check the rules before you go trying to operate a motor vehicle here while you're in Germany. You do not want to get in trouble for doing something like that. Under 18, you can't drive a car. Pretty simple. And number 8 kind of piggybacks on that. And then it's for you to be prepared for there to be more cameras that catch you speeding than there are actual live patrol out on the roads. In my experience, I think Germany uses more cameras to catch people speeding than they do having people out there catching people speeding. I have seen certain Germans out there with their car and they'll set up a little camera trap in the back of their car and they'll be sitting right there with their vehicle waiting to catch somebody. But I rarely ever see the Polizei on the side of the road with a laser gun waiting to catch somebody who's exceeding the speed limit in a zone where it's supposed to be a restricted speed. Because some people think that just because they don't see the Polizei out catching people, that they're not going to get caught. They do have things in place to make sure people are minding the limits in zones where limits are placed. If you gain your authorization to drive a vehicle here one day and you're driving a certain speed and in a certain area and you see the flash in front of you, you know you've been caught and you will be cited. So mind the limits. Now my number 9 is that you need to get used to tire swapping twice a year. I still got my winter tires on right now because it's not time to switch them yet. Back in the States, I used to always get really expensive all-season tires and I just used to roll with those for the year. Here in Germany, it's mandatory that you use the best tire equipped for the season, the road, the weather conditions, etc., etc. So they got this time span that everybody's used to. It's called O to O and it stands for October to Easter, the German Easter. And in October, you put on your winter tires. You keep those on all season until Easter, which is around the time that they recommend switching over to your summer tires. So you got to get used to switching your tires twice a year. After a while, it's just not even a task anymore, especially for those that don't switch their own tires. I usually try and switch my own, but if I don't have the time, I'll take it out to my local mechanic and have them swap them over for me. It's not even a big deal. Just get used to doing that twice a year. And lastly, number 10, for my night owls out there. A lot of you who are used to doing all your stuff at night, all your partying and all your music and loud noises, it's gonna come to an abrupt end because here in Germany, there is a such thing as quiet hours. The last I remember, the time was between the hours of 8 o'clock at night, 2000, to 7 o'clock in the morning. Not sure if that's changed or not, but that's what I last remember, and that's kind of what I still go by. And also all day on Sunday. So during these hours, you're not allowed to operate heavy machinery like garden mowers and things like that, nor are you allowed to turn up loud music to where neighbors can hear it. It's prohibited. The neighbors are well within their right to call the authorities on you, and you can be fined. Everybody must abide by this. So those are 10 things that if you're on your way to Germany, you might want to know prior to getting here. There are plenty more things I could talk about. Maybe I'll get those in another video. If you're German, go ahead and add to it by sticking them in the comments below. And like always, we can talk about it. If you found value in this video, stick around and you'll get more just like this one. So hopefully you decide to join the nation, and I'll talk to you in the next one.